Welcome back to the channel, guys. Appreciate you joining me. Today, we have a quick update about Polymega. If you're one of those customers that ordered the system that lit the retro community on fire in 2017 and you still haven't received your order 6 years later, I have some good news for you. But before we get into that, I'd appreciate it if you would hit the like button if you like this video. Click subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And as always, let's get it started. So first up, for those of you who don't remember, I'll give you a quick rundown here of uh, the Polymega system. Okay, just in case you missed it. This is a retro mute this here. This is a retro console that is put out by Playmaji. In 2017, it was announced it would let you take your official retro games on CD, cartridge, you name it, and allow you to back up those games, play them either directly from the cart, and we'll get into that more about that, or back them up and store them on the hard drive and play them from there. Um, originally this system was promised to be FPGA. That they had to cancel that, and that just began the problems with this product. Uh, Not only could they not meet the FPGA um, goals, but they had to turn to ROMs essentially. So when you insert your card, it acts much like a Retron. It downloads the ROM to the system and either plays it from memory or saves it to the hard drive. But still, for retro video gamers that really want the feel of clicking that cartridge in, sliding the disc in, and playing, it's a great system. But as I mentioned, the uh, the company has had difficulty getting these out. So they were able to ship a few in 2020, and all through that time, they continued to take orders from new people. So, like I said, they only shipped a few units, but a lot of those original pre-orders still have gone unfulfilled. The news of them coming out sent them a rush of additional orders to this date that still have not been filled. Uh, the company's announced multiple new products. They announced an N64 module. They announced a light gun, which was shown earlier. Uh, they recently announced a 2600 module, and what these modules are is they allow you to swap them out and put the different cartridges in and connect up the different controllers. And you can use the OEM original controllers, or you can use these retro inspired controllers that come with the modules. So it's kind of one system that's a jack of all trades, which is a really cool idea, and got a lot of people really interested in this product. Now, over the last several years, Polymega has been pretty quiet with its customers, only providing any info um, every few months, and that's been really frustrating for potential customers. It's led to a rash of requests for refunds, a lot of questioning what's going on in the community or with the company. The company's used a lot of excuses, saying they took advantage during COVID, saying there was a lot of supply chain issues, which of course everybody had. That makes a lot of sense. But here we are a few years outside of COVID, and most companies have long resolved their supply chain issues. So there's a lot of questions about what's going on. Well, then comes March of this year, and um, Polymega announces, hey, we've got some great news for you, right? So they say, we are going to fulfill these orders finally. If you have a pre-order that you've been waiting on, you are finally going to get your system. Shipments are going to begin in July and continue through October. Well, guess what? Today's November 1st. The date where I'm filming this, July and October have come and gone, but no new orders have shipped. So once again, another broken promise. But it didn't end there. Polymega um, in July goes out and makes another announcement. They respond on Twitter and they pin this. This is still currently the top pinned comment that says, every single person with a system pre order will have it in hand before the end of the year. Massive production run in progress right now. So, again, we're in November, still no products have shipped to consumers. But here's again another light at the end of the tunnel. It's coming, they say. So, why suddenly is Polymega able to meet this demand? Did suddenly this supplier have, come into, did their supplier suddenly get in a rash of parts that they've needed that they haven't had access to in 6 years? And no. Uh, as we see, what is more likely the cause is that Polymega simply burned through all its cash. Now, I don't know this for a fact. This is what I suspect, just an opinion based on the evidence and things that I have seen. So let's take a look at their supplier, right? So, let's see. Sorry, 1 second. I'm Where did it go? Sorry about that. I thought I had this all prepped and it's okay, there we go. Finally. So, we get the second quarter reports earlier this month. It's dated October 23rd, right? Just about a week ago. And in this report from Highway Holdings, they give us an insight into why suddenly Polymega's back in production. The company talks about the rough time it's had over the last several years. Have orders have declined, and then we get this little bit of information, right? So it talks about the COVID boom and bust cycle, demand reduction, right? Not lack in parts, demand reduction related to the ongoing war in Ukraine, global inflation, and it does mention some supply constraints have had a great negative impact on customer demand. Now, this is where it's important. It says, despite the incredibly challenging environment, we have recently started to see some positive signs. In particular, we expect to benefit from a resumption in demand from one of our larger customers, Playmaji Inc., which owns the Polymega game console business. Playmagic Playmaji recently announced that it has entered into a partnership with and has received a minority investment from Atari. Based on discussions with Playmaji, a return to full production in Q3 2023 is anticipated, with regular deliveries to customers and distributors to continue thereafter. So there you have basically an admission that says the demand from Playmaji was gone essentially, which means they weren't placing any orders. There wasn't a supply chain issue in all likelihood. And now that they've had an infusion from Atari, they're using that cash to fulfill those old orders, which is interesting. So let's talk a little bit more about that Atari investment. So here you see the big press release. This one came from Atari themselves, where they talk about their investment. So, of course, Atari, one of the world's most iconic consumer brands and interactive entertainment producers, today announced a strategic collaboration with Playmaji, the Los Angeles-based company behind the modular multi-system game console Polymega. Polymega game console lets players enjoy original game cartridges and CDs for classic game consoles on HD TVs. The partnership includes strategic initiatives that will provide support for Atari games on Polymega hardware. That's the new 2600 module, and software and integration between Polymega and Atari VCS. So that what they're speaking about there is in this long outage, one of the things Polymega said they were doing to help bide the time was anybody that had a pre-order on this on the Polymega system would get access to the new Polymega app. This app is supposed to let you basically play those games on your PC. So now you have access to not only on the physical console itself, but on the PC, and you can use the PC to rip the games to the app and so forth, right? They promised anybody with a pre-order, you get free beta access. You're going to get access for a year to the service, and that it was coming. And I believe this announcement was like in February, and they said in March you'll be able to go ahead and get on this app, and you'll be good to go. And then once the console, you get your console, you'll be great. Well, March came and went, and again, here we are in November. There is still no app. So Atari here is talking about we're going to get basically uh, the Polymega app is going to also be available if you have an Atari VCS console, which is really, I don't even know if they still produce those. My understanding was they stopped, but it was a Atari retro themed console that has an online library of games that you can order and download. That quite simply sales were not great for. So the hope here, right, is that you're going to be able to bring all these other games to that VCS console and make more value from it, right? And so it says Atari VCS will add support for the Polymega app and the Polymega Remix add-on. This will effectively provide all of the functionality of a Polymega console to the Atari VCS owners. So again, Atari here gets the benefit of when this app ships, you're going to be able to play all these games on the VCS and you won't need a Polymega. In addition, new cartridge module will be developed that will add the Atari 2600 and Atari 2700 compatibility to the Polymega console. The addition of this cartridge module will make the 2600 and 7800 games more accessible to retro enthusiasts and expand the market for Atari's line of collectible game cartridges. Atari owned games will be sold in Polymega storefront, giving Atari enthusiasts an additional way to access timeless Atari content and an additional platform on which the company can commercialize its extensive back catalog of video games. Now, the interesting thing about this announcement is this came like days after Atari also announced the new 2600 plus retro console of their own. So the timing is pretty interesting on this standpoint. But Polymega's innovative approach to retro hardware is perfectly aligned with Atari's goals in retro gaming, said Wade Rosen, chairman and CEO of Atari. This partnership greatly expands the compatibilities of Atari VCS while also making the Polymega platform itself more compelling. I know fans will be excited to see Atari games added to Polymega's growing ecosystem. This partnership is a vote of confidence in Polymega. It expands our audience and adds compatibility support for one of the most important brands in retro gaming, said Brian Bernal, Chief Executive Officer of Playmaji, and likely the only employee Like, you cannot get a hold of anybody according to, comments on Twitter. They don't respond, to requests for refunds anymore. It's been, pretty problematic for a while there. Says, "This is an important step in growth of our platform, and we look forward to working with Atari in the important space of retro innovation. In concert with partnership with Atari has also completed a minority investment into Playmaji. I look forward to working with the team at Polymega as they evolve their modular gaming console. Polymega's approach fills an important need in the market, providing a hardware solution that allows players to legally access classic retro content while respecting game companies' intellectual property," added Rosen. And quite honestly, for a lot of gamers like me, that was the huge selling point of Polymega, is we could put our retro collections like this behind me to use on their system. So it's an extremely um, enticing product. I'm still waiting for my pre-order years later, hoping to see it come out, actually ship soon, and more on that in a second. But as you can see, and a lot of what believe was happening is they simply just ran out of funds, and that's likely, because of COVID. I don't wanna pretend it's not, and it's some mismanagement. They likely ran into huge supply chain issues while they were trying to get this system out. Um, Not only did the initial delays cost them a lot, where I assume they had staff, a decent sized staff at the time that they were trying to pay and keep paying throughout. Well, when you got no products to deliver, you're not really bringing any money into the system. They continued to announce products and allow and pre-order and pre-sell those products, which did have some money coming in, but clearly it doesn't appear it was enough for them to be able to actually go out and produce these systems. So they were hoping, it seems like they were hoping that the announcement of the app would get a bunch of people in, or that they would get the app out fast enough that they would drive some revenue through the online store of the app. I'm not sure, but clearly, the chain issues that they claimed were not actually, at least within the last year or so, not reality. Um, so Atari makes this investment. Now they presumably have a huge lump sum of cash. They've gone back to their supplier and said, "We're ready to order again," and they've placed those orders. But the time frame in which the last communication they had with their customers was July 6th. That was the date of that comment I showed earlier. That is the last time that they've communicated anything to their customers. It's the last post on Twitter. It's the last post. There's no post since March on their website or press releases. This Atari module they mentioned has never been put up for pre-orders. So there's still a lot of questions. But there is a light on the horizon that uh, should give us all some hope, right? So let's take a look at that real quick. And here we go. This is a list of Playmagi's bills of lading. What a bill of lading is it's essentially tracking information for international shipments. So whenever an item is shipped into this country, it lands in a port in the U.S. In this case, in Long Beach and Los Angeles, California. Um, you can see when it's arrived. You typically get some description of what's on there, um, and of course when it arrived, et cetera, et cetera. And so what you see here is essentially from August 29th of 2022, Polymega hadn't had any shipments. The This last one was some game boxes, so it looks like they received some items in during that, you know, well over a year ago. Um, but it's not very many. It says the weight was 880, 73 cartons or containers. Um, so there may have been, upwards of, a couple hundred units on that box. But so hopefully some people got their order back then. But even before that, again, it was another year before that before they got any. So it's been a long time since they've gotten anything. But as I mentioned, here we are on October 20th. Polymega has received two huge shipments, um, one totaling 1,640 kilograms, the other totaling 3,194 kilograms, or close to 7,000 pounds, right? And so we see 245 containers of the game boxes. So these are your Polymega base units in all likelihood. It's potential there is also modules on that, but typically you see when it's an element module, it literally says element module set on the box. But here it says we got game boxes. So at that weight, that's probably between 700 and 1,000 units, which is a good supply. On the next shipment, on the other container, they now have um, a container of 205 game pads. So it's not 205 game pads, that's 205 containers of game pads. Again, it's half the weight. So likely what you have here is enough of the game pad, and these game pads are manufactured by, I believe it's GameServe, which is you can buy these off of Alibaba. So I wouldn't exactly say they're the highest quality gamepad, but they're not horrible. And so Polymega has their own version licensed of the GameSir T3 gamepad that they branded Polymega and use that. So, um, at October 20th, typically what you see is a turnaround from the time something lands at the shore to when a company ships it is about 8 weeks. So potentially we should see these start arriving at homes at the end of December. May be different for Playmaji. I don't know if because these are shipping separately, if they're truly separate and they just box them here, or if here you got some game boxes, and then of course then you got all these extra game pads for anybody that ordered extras. That's you can't really tell that from this, but it is some great news. Um, eh, it appears the promises this company made that people are going to start getting their pre-orders and that they will have them filled sooner rather than later is actually coming true. So I, for one, am excited to finally get mine. Hopefully I don't have to make another update in a month and be like, well, guess what? They never shipped anything, or 2 months. But in the meantime, um, I'm excited that this is finally coming out. I don't know. I still haven't ordered the N64 module or any of the other add-ons because, quite frankly, if I did order the deluxe bundle that's supposed to come with everything that was out at the time. It's long since paid for. um, so I hope they ship. I hope this company actually is over whatever struggles they have. Certainly taking investment from Atari. Seems like they would have had to open their books from Atari, and Atari felt comfortable with that. So that should give us some confidence that we're going to see what they own. But who knows? So I'd really like to know where you're at. Do you already have a Polymega? Were you one of the lucky few to get yours early on? If so, what do you think? If you don't, did you pre-order one? And are you still interested in getting it? Are you wishing you had a refund? Uh, if you didn't get one, are you waiting and hoping these comes out and then they can actually start meeting demand and it can come to a spot and you're interested in one? Or is this whole thing just like you wish you never heard about it? So let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Again, appreciate if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Love to hear from you. Share it with your friends, and I will catch you on the next one.